I just love cozy, relaxing arcade games with pretty visuals and nice music, simple to pick up and play gameplay that you don't really have to put too much effort into in order to make progress. Kira Kira Star Night appears to be one such game. However, as simple as it may be on the surface, it actually has some very interesting systems and gameplay mechanics that need mastering if you want to beat the game or, dare I say, go for the high score. Developed by the talented developers and 8-bit music creators over at Riki, a Japanese homebrew NES developer, the same developer that actually brought us the awesome Astro Ninja Man DX that I reviewed last week. Kira Kira Star Night originally released in Japan for the Famicom around, I believe, 2016 or something like that. The original cartridge release was marred with way too many issues. Some of the cartridges wouldn't even work on original Famicom systems, while others would freeze up and have graphical glitches. So the publisher at the time recommended that people play them on emulation devices or emulation Famicom systems. Now, after that initial release, the game would get subsequent arcade and special edition releases in Japan, and finally in 2021, limited run games would pick up the game and release an NES version of it on a gorgeous pink cartridge, which is the one I have. They also released Riki's 8-bit music collections at the time, but I never bought those because I didn't really need them. Nowadays, Kira Kira Star Night, as well as Riki's 8-bit music collections and the awesome and amazing Astro Ninja Man DX are available on the Nintendo Switch as a part of the Riki 8-bit game collection. The premise in Kira Kira Star Night is actually very simple. The player has to collect a certain amount of stars before the stage's time runs out. The stages are actually pretty simple and clean. There are no environmental hazards, there's no enemies, there's nothing to really worry about other than your limited time and the stars. Even though the stages scroll, that's just a visual effect. There's nothing really to worry about when it comes to the stage's layout. It's just a flat screen, a flat plane, and that's all there is to it. The scrolling does not affect gameplay in any way, shape or form. So all you do is collect stars on a stage that has no hazards, no enemies, no nothing, and you might think Kira Kira Star Night is a breeze. After all, how hard could it be to collect a bunch of stars in a stage where nothing threatens the player? Well guys, it can be pretty darn challenging, at least in this game. You see guys, this is a game of memorization, timing and correct positioning, and if you mess all this up, you ain't gonna collect any stars. It's actually a very unforgiving game at times. The stars the player needs to collect come in waves, and each wave has a different movement pattern for the stars and different speed. The movement patterns of the stars are actually very similar to movement patterns we see enemies and bullets have in shmups. So the player needs to collect as many stars as possible within a wave before the stars leave the screen. And in order to do that, you really need to learn where the stars are going to be coming from, how they're going to move, and from where they're going to leave the screen. Alright, so now let's get into the gameplay mechanics a little bit. If the player manages to collect all stars in a wave, their score increases by a certain amount. The amount the score increases is always fixed, so the first cleared wave is going to give the player 10 extra points. For each subsequent wave the player clears, the extra points multiplier increases by 10, up to a maximum of 90. What this means is, if the player clears 10 waves in a row, the highest amount of extra points per cleared wave they can get will never exceed 90. However, if so much as a single star is missed in a wave, there is no points awarded to the player at the end of the wave. And the combo chain is broken, meaning that the next time the player clears a wave, it is going to award just 10 points once again. Collecting all stars in a wave and maintaining a clear wave combo is no easy task by any means. In fact, just meeting the star requirements per stage can be very daunting and difficult in later stages of the game. So guys, I'm gonna try and explain the jump mechanics of Kira Kira Star Night now, because that's where the main depth of the game lies. You see, Kira Kira Star Night has what I'd like to call a fixed jump system, meaning that once you jump in a certain direction, left, right or upwards, there is no way to change your position or direction in midair. There are two types of jump, depending on whether you press the A or B buttons, a long jump and a short jump, and their height is also predetermined and fixed. This type of jumping has long been eliminated from platformers and action games, and it was very common in old computer games on home computers and in some NES games and so on. And it was honestly very annoying and nobody ever liked it. However, it is clear that our friends over at Riki were very much inspired by these restrictive jumping mechanics for whatever reason, and they decided to build an entire game around them, which works surprisingly well. To say that there is no way to change your direction midway through a jump would be a lie, because there is one method you can use to do this, and that is to run up to your screen's edge, jump into it, and you will bounce away in the opposite direction from the screen's edge. The player's ground movement is rather slow and sluggish, and there is no way to accelerate or run, which makes collecting stars if you missed a jump even more difficult and challenging. So if you mess up a jump, there's no way to reach some of the stars that are about to leave the screen sometimes. And you have to understand that in this game, jumping around all frantically trying to collect stars and panicking is not going to get you anywhere. It might work for the first few levels, but as soon as you reach some of the later levels, even on the easier difficulty, you will be missing entire clusters of stars or maybe even entire waves if you keep doing this. So you really have to understand the jumping mechanics, your movement mechanics, and your limitations and restrictions if you want to clear stages and beat the game, and especially if you're going for a high score. Kira Kira Star Night can really be an unforgiving game at times, especially when you fail to meet your stars quota for the stage. You will end up on the game over screen, and you have to start the entire game all over again. Alright, so there are two levels of difficulty in this game. Basically, there are 9 stages in each difficulty level, and for completing a difficulty level, you gain a certain reward. Clearing difficulty level 1 awards you with a code for a debug menu where you can listen to different audio tracks, select which stage you want to play and practice, and tweak some aspects of the game, such as star movement patterns and jumping mechanics and so on. Difficulty level 2 is significantly much more challenging and difficult, but at the same time, finishing it results in a significantly more important reward than just a simple debug menu. In fact, the reward you get this time around is a real game changer, and even though it might be considered spoilers, I have to talk about it. So upon finishing difficulty level 2, the player is given a code to unlock a new character. This new character has altered jump mechanics, and while the new character still has a locked direction and position as well as predetermined height for their jumping, both A and B buttons this time function as the short jump of the normal character you normally use. However, jumping again while in midair now offers a double jump option, and when initiating this double jump, you can actually change your direction. Still, even though this new character makes collecting stars easier, practice and timing is of utmost importance, and if you mess up, you're still going to find yourself on the game over screen. So, as you guys can see, while on the surface Kira Kira Star Night may seem like a simple game, it is one of those games that are indeed very simple to pick up and play, but it can be very hard to master. The game looks absolutely stunning. Star Night has some of the best visuals on the NES, but if you take into account that other than the player sprite and the stars there's not much else going on in the stages, it's understandable why they were able to create such detailed visuals with so many colors. The visuals have an almost pop art quality to them at times, from the stunning looking colorful cityscapes to the red and purple beach sunsets, the beautiful azure sea combined with pink and yellowish clouds above it. Star Night is truly one of the best looking games on the system. The use of colors is so masterfully done that through the visuals you can actually hear the music, and I find that absolutely fascinating. Now, I'm no music guy, but I can tell you this: the tracks range from amazing to decent, but they all somehow fit the stages and dynamics of the game so perfectly. Some of these Tracks seem to pay homage to popular or well-known songs. I swear I can actually hear One Piece's Rainbow Star in this one stage. Kira Kira Star Night is a wonderful pick-up-and-play game. Whether you choose to play it casually or aim for a high score, you're bound to have a blast. Play it on original hardware or on your emulation devices or on Nintendo Switch, but be sure to check it out because it's a game that is absolutely wonderful for quick pick-up-and-play sessions. Hope you guys have a lot of fun with this one, and I really hope you enjoy it as much as I do.